Hey, we're gonna make this. Maybe if I can hold it up. That right there. This is the one that didn't turn out. This is one of the ones that was being edited. The final one is actually in the laser right now. But this is what we're gonna do. So, since there's a few of you, anybody else can catch up. So, I did a tutorial on how to use laser files and turn them into this. This is this. And it actually makes it, once you put the two-part epoxy over it, it actually gives it a holographic flat effect using the wood that I've been using. So it's kind of cool. So, without further ado, let's get started. Oh, wait a minute. I gotta turn up the air and the laser's cutting. I don't really know how loud it is. If it's too loud, say something so I know, because I have no idea. So, how you do this is go to ImageR if you haven't already gotten associated with ImageR. It's free. I have the paid version, so mine's a little bit different, but the free version also has what you need, should have what you need to be able to do this. So I already have an image in here. This one is actually here is the laser fiber laser image that was made into a image that we can use with a diode. So we're not going to do that. We're going to restart. So you go to ImageR, and then when you go there, if you're using a free version, you'll have ads. It is what it is. It's like $10 a month if you just want to do the $10 a month one, or you can do a lifetime one. I did a lifetime, but you can also just do $10 a month, which isn't bad for the power that this software has. And you can do an offline version or an online version. I do the online version. However, it was brought to my attention that it probably would be better to do the offline. But anyway, here we are. So we're going to go to upload. And the image that we're doing is in that same folder. This image right here. So if we upload this like this, it's not going to work. So we're going to take this image, and I use PaintShop Pro. If you have Photoshop or something like that, you can do the same thing. This is going to take a minute to load. I use PaintShop Pro only because I've used PaintShop Pro before, and I've used it for a long time. So that's just what I use. But it takes forever to load. And the wood that I use is 1/4 inch underlay for doing floors, like you're doing like the wood slat floors and stuff like that. We used it on our motorhome to redo the motorhome walls and stuff. And I had some laying around, so I thought I'd just try it. I have seen this same technique done, I said this in the other video, by someone else, and it was brought to I was lucky enough to get a minute with Brandon, and he showed me some of these techniques, and he also showed me this video of this guy, how he used the images from fiber laser. So because I understood the technique, I was able to take or the end result that we want, I was able to take a regular image and do it. So you can do it with a regular image. You're basically making it a fiber image and then turning it into an image that we can edit because our lasers are on or off. There's no actual gray. It's on or off. It's either full on or full off. That's it. There's no, we can't burn, we either burn white or black. That's it. We don't have grays. We can't burn grays. Gray is black. So we're going to take that same little image of that woman, princess, and her dragon, because dragons are cool. If you don't think dragons are cool, you're going to have to leave. So we want a really dark background, okay? And what I did is I just used flood fill, and I filled in the background. Now, I was going to stop here because you can kind of see the castle, but if you try to turn this into a laser, turn this into a file we can use, the background's too light and it won't etch right, and everything will bleed together. So you need to get rid of that background. Now, the reason I use flood fill is because I know there's going to be white spots that are going to look really cool when it's done. So I flood filled it, and all these spots should turn out white. I also flood filled under the dragon. Like that. Oops. I think I went too far. Oop, yep, I went too far. So we flood filled all that, okay? That gives us a good black background. This here is going to turn out black anyways. It doesn't matter. Then we're going to save the file. That's weird. We're going to save the file as a PNG or a JPEG. It doesn't matter. And I'm not going to resave it because I already have it. But you're going to save the file as a JPEG or a PNG. Either one, doesn't matter. Or a bitmap if you want. Now we go back to image R. And that's the image, that's the original image. If you do it like this without doing the background, it's not going to come out. I tried everything under the sun and could not get it to come out right. This is the one that I left the background like that. You lose detail. You can't get the detail out for the girl and the dragon. You lose a lot of detail. So making the background black has made the dragon pop, and the ability for these, all this black stuff, where all this is burned out, it was black and it wouldn't give the white that we need. So I had to fill in the background. It works better. So we're going to restart again. And then you're going to go to, this is kind of hard because I can't get it far enough back. Upload. And we're going to pick the dragon. We saved it. Dragon Princess Warrior background black. We're going to open it. And it's going to come up like that, right? It's a grayscale now. ImageR automatically makes it a grayscale because they're doing this is for lasers. So we're going to crop the image. Maybe. We're going to crop the image, and I'm going to make it square because I'm making these. So I want a square image so I don't get an oval circle. Right? So I clicked on square. Now I'm going to do round because I want it round. If you're doing square on a tile or something like that, just leave it and you can crop it down to the size you need it. And I've got everything that I want from there. So this I'm not worried about. I don't care because I'm going to resize it here in a minute. Click on crop. And that's the image. It's cropped. Okay. Now we're going to go to resize. And this is super important on resize. This is super important. I saw a video on this a while back and I didn't listen and I do everything in millimeters because millimeters is just easier to measure. It's easier. It's more precise. I've done I have a lathe and I do machine work and 3D printing and stuff like that, and everything's in millimeters. So millimeters is just easier and more precise. So I know my discs are 80 millimeters, right? So I'm doing 80, 80. Now, this is the part where you have to figure out the dots per inch. I already know what the dots per inch for this one's going to be because I already did it. So for me, it's 400. I'm sorry, it's 350. If I do too much, it ends up burning it out. All right, we're leaving a fixed aspect for this. Click on go or OK. Now it brings it up, right? It's still two gray files, but you can see that there's a change. There's more dots per inch, right? So this got darker. Some of the other stuff, details came a little brighter. But you have to have the measurement, the size of the image. Oh my God, on the resize, we'll go back. This needs to be exactly the size of what you're going to put it on. So if you're going to put it on something that's 80 millimeter, when you load it in, it has to be 80 millimeter. Don't change it, don't blow it up, don't shrink it. It'll ruin the image. You won't be able to. If you blow it up, it'll open up pixels that weren't there originally to make the size bigger. There's nothing to fill it in. You won't be able to fill in the empty pixels because you've expanded it, and now there's a bunch of dead space that won't fill in and it won't burn right. If you shrink it down, you're going to squeeze all those pixels together, and it'll make it too tight, and you'll lose the image. So the image that you're going to burn has to be exactly the size of whatever you're going to burn it on. So if I want the 80 by 80, I want it this size, 80 by 80. I can't take that same one and go and put it on something that's 110 by 110. It won't work. It won't come out right. It won't look right. So I can only use it on these discs. If I want to do it on a square, or if I want to do it on a disc that's 110 by 110, I have to come here and I have to do it all over again, which it doesn't take long once you learn how to do it. So then we click OK. But that's important. So we got our 400 or 350 DPI image. Now, this is where it gets cool. We're going to select Grayscale and Marcin. I tried a bunch of I'm going to show you how you determine your DPI. And I don't know if you can do the DPI on the free one. I never tried it on the free one. I only have done it on I believe it is available for the free one. But if one of you are at your computer and you want to go to the free one, go to imageR.com and just throw an image in there. It doesn't matter what image, just throw one in there and get to the point where you can select material, and you'll see what I'm going to do. So I tried a bunch of these other ones, and so far for our laser, for the diodes, Marcin has been the closest, the best. It's almost perfect every time. So we're going to click on Grayscale, and then we're going to click on OK. And then the image, see how the image changes? All this white is this. That's our depth, right? All the black, it's going to burn 100%, and it's going to burn it down. So all the white is what brings out your detail. All the white. So all of this is really, okay, so all of that is that, right? It brings out the detail in the image. However, on this one, because I didn't do the background, I left it the original background, I lost a bunch on the girl. So it's hard to tell on the warrior girl, princess, whatever she is, that's what that is. So, okay, now we want to bring out white more. The more contrast we have to the white and black, we're going to do that. Now, if you want to do your dots per inch, when you click on download, we'll get back to that. We'll come back to that. So then you go to advanced over here on the side, and the first thing that I did is I went to brightness, and I brought my brightness up to like 175, I think it was. And you'll see the image get really white. See how white it is? And all the black in there? All that black is going to burn out. All the white's going to stay. So then I went to contrast, and I started bringing the contrast up. Now I got whiter and darker. It's almost too white though. I brought up the gamma a little bit, and you see it change when you bring the gamma up. And I'm bringing the contrast down a little bit. And those controls, it's hard to show the whole screen just because of the way the size of my monitor, but those controls that I'm working are over here. And no one setting, when you guys ask for what's the settings, no one setting is going to work for your image. Every image is different, so you have to figure out your settings. You just work with it until you get a nice image that has a good white to black contrast, a real, not a gray contrast, a black, a crisp black contrast along with the white. I'm going to actually bring the brightness down a little bit. You see, there's almost no gray. A lot of where this gray is going to burn shallow. So we got a pretty good white. I'm going to keep bringing it. I'm going to bring the contrast up to 25 and see. Bring it up a little more. And then we're going to bring it up I'm going to try taking down the gamma a little. I took the gamma down to 0.8. And the 0.8 actually gave us a real nice black lines. I think that's pretty good. Try 0.6. So that's 0.6 on the gamma. It gave me a nice, like, what looks like a starry sky. And all these little spots are not going to burn. It'll burn around these spots, so it'll leave a bunch of little dots like these, right? So when you cover it or do whatever you're going to do with it, it actually gives it, you can. It gives it kind of a holographic look. Kinda. So the guy who I saw do it has been doing it on basswood. And the basswood, in my opinion, I tried it several times. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying I tried it several times. And all I got was, I got a nice image, like a nice depth image. But what I got was where it burned and it stayed charred because the basswood is soft. So it still was black. It was black. It wasn't like all these different depths. So the reason that I'm getting all these different contrasts in these images is because of that 1/4 inch flooring, the 1/4 inch underlay. Because there's layers, there's several layers. There's a lot of layers. And one of the layers is kind of like an orangish, burnt umber, I guess. I don't know what you would call that. So that brings out a kind of a cool orange. And then on this one, let me show you something cool. On this one, this little dragon that I did last night for the thing, for the other tutorial, the only problem is there was a line, in this wood, there's a line of glue every so often. If you do something on that line of glue, you need to work above the glue for the next one or below the glue. If I was doing this for somebody, I would redo it, but I'm going to keep it because I like the little dragon. But you can see how it gave the underlay of this wood, gave like a pink It looks pink on the thing. I don't know if you can see pink. You kind of can. It gave like a pink coloring underneath. So you got some contrast of colors along with the wood in the Dragon. So I think that's pretty good. We'll get a good I think we'll get a good burn out of that. I'm gonna go down one more in the gamma just to see. Yeah, that's even better. So I've got the gamma for this image at 0.5, and I've got a lot of good white contrast. So all of this is gonna pop. All of these white spots, all this white is gonna be raised. So that'll be my upper depth. That'll be all of the first layer of the wood, right? Horns, her arm, and then all of that will be outlined with a real crisp burn. And then I'll have a nice starry sky. Matter of fact, it's finishing up on the laser. For the next set, I did a set of dragons. So yeah, you'll get that. That'll be a nice contrast. You'll have the lines for the legs and the dragons. Let's give a little bump on the brightness. Yeah, I think that worked. So I went and I put the gamma to 0.5. I've got contrast at 29, brightness at 167. Don't write these down, because the next image you do, that may not work for you. That may not work for the image. You just have to try and the idea is to get your image to look like that. The whites are going to stay and pop. The blacks are going to burn out. When I first started doing this, I was trying to do an inverted image, thinking that that's the way to do it. I want the background to stay and I want it to burn into the wood, right? That's not what you want. You lose all your details like that. So we're going to keep that, okay? I'm happy with that. So we're going to go. This is the part where you get to the DPI. I think, who asked? Kristen asked about the DPI. This is how you do the DPI, okay? So we're going to go, I'm happy with that image. I'm going to go to download. Can you see the download? Probably not. I'm going to go to download, and it's going to pop this up. This is where your DPI test is, right? So if you can also do an algorithm test, but you click on DPI, and what you want to do is you want to select just a very small section of the image. If you get too big of a section, I found out the hard way that it can take 3-4 hours to do this. So we just want to select a small section. Let's say something like that. That gives us kind of a good range of like the dark, the scales area, and so on. So you would select it. I'm not going to do this, but I will show you what you end up with. You select that, right? And now down here you have your DPI values. You can select all of these. I didn't bother with these. I did mine from 212 to 635. So I checked them. Checking them like that. Like that, and then you click on download, and it'll download your DPI test, right? So then, I'm not doing a DPI test. So then, what you end up with is being lost. These are all DPI tests that I did. On a Dragonfly, you see this? These DPI tests took forever because I didn't realize how big of an area I was selecting. But when I did the test, 212 came out the best. I've been using this piece of wood for stuff, but these are the DPI tests, right? That right there, compared to these, the quality, you see how the quality is better? That's what the DPI test is for. This one that's cut off was the best, which is this one in the back. And it engraves the DPI here. So this image ran at 212 DPI and gave me the best image out of all of them. So this one next to it is actually 195. So when you get into the body area right here, this looks not as detailed as this one over here does. That's what the DPI test is for. So then once you've done your DPI test, then you come back here and then you can do a resize. You can resize this all over again. So I could resize this. I could change the DPI to 400, right? Let's do 400. And it does 400. And you really don't have to do anything. You might have to change the settings a tiny bit, but you really don't have to do much. So then we're going to download the image because we're happy with it. Download it as a PNG. And I'm not re-downloading because I already have it, but you would download it, save it, whatever name, as a PNG or a bitmap. I've been doing PNG. I don't know if there's going to be a difference between them or not, but that's what I do. So you download it. And then you go to here, which this is processing something. So you bring the file in, and here it is, actually processing. Bring the file in here. Maybe I can add a file launcher. I don't know, I'm gonna try that. So let's bring her in. And you can see too in my folder, there's 3 or 4 of her. There's several. It took several times with this background to decide that that background wasn't going to work and I needed to do it with this background. So that's what I did. So then you select it, open it, and it comes at 80 millimeters. That image, it's actually 79.9, which I'm fine with. That's 0.1 off, which is what they all load in as. That's fine. You could probably bump it up that one if you wanted to, but I wouldn't mess with it. So then you bring it in, and I'm cutting them out because they're coasters. So I'm just going to copy this. I make the circle 5 millimeters bigger than the image. And I didn't know this till recently, which is a cool feature. You can just select these, go to align horizontal, and align vertical, and bam, it's right in the center. How cool is that? Then you're going to go to your settings, all the way over here. They're really hard to see. I'll try and zoom in on them. Okay, I think that works. If you can't see it, let me know. But you're going to go to your settings. Well, actually, you're going to select 3 millimeter basswood, even though you're not using basswood. Then you're going to do your auto. Can't do it right now because it's running, but you're going to do your auto thickness, and it should come up like 5.4 to 5.6, somewhere in that neighborhood. No height by layer, because you want the outline, you want the line to cut last. And if you notice over here, I I have two different layers. I have a blue layer and a red layer. The red layer is all the circles. The blue layer is all the images. Now that we got that, that's really annoying. Now we're going to click on the image, and we're not changing nothing. Don't change any settings. Don't change the line settings. Don't change anything. We want this, since we don't have pass-through unless you're using Lightburn, it actually does a little bit of changes to the image that we have no control over. However, it still comes out really good. But if you change anything in here, it'll screw the image up. You can play around with the lines per centimeter, but I did play around with them, and what I ended up with was these two images are what I did then. This one and this one. This one has no lines per centimeter. It has 100 lines per centimeter. And there's actually details in there that are way better. This one I lost some of the eye detail, a little bit of detail on the hood, some on the sides, because they did 100 lines, and it changed. Whatever it changed in the image, or whatever changed in the software. Wow, that's real fuzzy. Why is that so fuzzy? Whatever I changed in the software, changing those lines changed something in the software. So we want our power up to 95. And your speed is real slow, man. But it brings the best image. And it takes about, each one of these discs takes about 20 minutes-ish. We run to speed on 50. And that's where we're going to leave it. 95 on power, 50 on speed. Then on your cutout, you're going to want cut and power 100, speed 5. And if you're using the flooring, the 1/4 inch underlay, you need to put, I usually do about 5 or 6 passes. There's a little bit of glue in there that's got to get cut, because that's what holds together the layers. So it takes a little bit more, but it will cut it. On this little guy here, and this little guy, where that line is across there, that was a glue strip where there was a lot of glue. And right on the back, you can see these little tabs right there. There's another one right here. It's real slight, but that wouldn't cut through. No matter how many, oh, it's done. No matter how many passes I did, where'd it go? Where am I? No matter how many passes I did, it wouldn't cut that. So when I went to take it out, it wouldn't move. So what I did, flipped the board over, and I took a razor blade and X-Acto knife, and I just knocked those two little spots, and it popped right out. That spot and the other spot popped right out. So this thing is done just at the right time. So let's go clean it. This is the cleaning process part. These are all those images. Cool, right? I know. So we're gonna see it wiggles. And what I do is, before I take this out, is I make sure that they wiggle, so that none of the glue is, if any of the glue is stuck, or it didn't go up, or it didn't go all the way through, it won't move. See, this one's got, something's holding that one down. Yeah, there's a little something holding it down. So that means there's a little bit of glue it didn't cut through. It's not a lot, because I can move it. So I'll probably take these out, and on the back side, let me shut that air off. And on the back side, I'll probably be able to just cut them with my knife. But if it was real bad, I would want to run the laser again. So by not moving this board, I can... And if these have glue spots, they're not going to move. So I can run the laser on them again. But all of these are good. She came out good. So let's get these out, and then I'll show you what you can do on the back of those ones that are stuck. Okay. So you can see how they're stuck, right? So there's a little bit of a glue spot, right? And a couple little spots. You can see right there and right along there. So I'm going to take my razor. Let's do this. Do this over here. Sorry, my bench is a mess. I actually work in the house. Oops. And these are the back of test slates. So, what I'm going to do is just take that. Pops it free. Nice. You don't lose any wood. You don't have those little peel-offs. Just like that. Just like downtown. Now, we're going to take the girl and clean her. And you can see all these spots that I said look like stars. Those are all raised points. Hopefully, they're going to look like that. And that's the image that you'll get. Now, all that black stuff obviously has to come off. So this is the cleaning process. So let's go clean this bad boy. Let's see how pretty she is. This is the first time doing that. Hey. Thanks. Well, why not? How do I flip this around? Oh, there we go. I did it last night. So I'm going to risk it. I did it last night. It worked out fine. So we're going to take this, okay? Like this. And we're going to actually take soap. Dish soap, Dawn, whatever you want. And put a little dish soap on it. Then the soft bristle brush. It's very soft. They're like rubbery almost. Get a little water on it. Get it wet. And then we're going to just start doing this. Lower it. And then I do the edges because obviously that's where all your burn is. A lot of burnt soot and stuff you want to get off. And I leave the edges because I just think that they look burnt like that because I think they just look good on those coasters. And they're covered with epoxy anyway, so it's not like any of the soot's going to come off. So you just start doing like that, gently. Go with the grain, or with the burn. And you try when you do your burns, try to do them against the grain so the grain is like up and down. I couldn't do it on this. and it still worked out okay because of the way this wood is made. Then we're gonna rinse it, literally rinse it in the sink underwater. Rinse off your brush, and now you can't see it. Then, I think I broke them off. The little dots. Dang. Some of the dots are there. Not as much as I'd like. I might have to do this again. See if I can get more of those dots to come out better. So we have a starry sky. Might also help too to bring the DPI down a little bit more, because that's not a spot that I did it on. So I could maybe do a DPI test on that spot where those little dots are to make them see what it's going to take to get them to pop too. Because if you have too high of a DPI for the laser, it'll actually burn away detail. If you don't have high enough, it won't give any detail. So let's see it wet. Let's dry it off a little bit and see what happens. Uh-oh, the dog's getting excited. Somebody woke up the wireless doorbell. Okay. Hey, Corey. Okay, come to the back here. Back to the work area. So, that is what this looks like. And I think that it turned out pretty doggone good. That's the first burn after this burn. And, you know, who you are and how you like it, you might be able to get the girl to come out a little better on this one. I just didn't like it personally. I would like the starry sky, and while I can see some of them, you can't probably see them. Oh yeah, you can. But I don't know. I'm tossed up. I can't really tell what the girl is there as much as I can here. And I'm thinking maybe of filling in the background on one and leaving this part open. If I can't get these little dots to pop more. But either image would work. And basically all you did was turn a flat image into a fiber laser image. And essentially is what you did. But the more you mess with the gamma and stuff like that, the more the gamma, the brightness, contrast, those things, the more your image is going to change and pop. So the better you get at it, the better you can do it. So now that I've actually done this one like this is burned out, and the dragon and her have more depth. But I lost my castle in the background. So I can either go back and try and outline the castle maybe in Paint Shop and darken all of this up so that it burns out and then find a way to darken up this so the sky burns out a little bit. Or I can be happy with that one. I'm pretty happy with that. But that's the point. That's how you do it. That's how you take an image that you find online or a picture and do that is how you turn what? Oh, let's see. Nature. Nope, fantasy, not nature. That is how you turn this image. I guess it's going to open on its own. That's how you get, whenever this loads. What do you mean, Shannon? That's how you get this image to be burnable with depth on a piece of wood. They both, and oddly enough, either one of these work. You could take that same image and you could make several different styles of coaster out of it with depth. Like this could be the night. If I can get those little dots, like I can see them here. I guess you can see them. You can kind of see them. Oh yeah, there you go. Different angles too. That's the other thing that gives it wicked cool depth. So when I cover this with epoxy, it's going to give it kind of a, from this angle, you sort of can see them, but from this angle, you can see them a lot. So once it's covered with epoxy, it'll give it like a, it'll give it like a holographic effect. Did you just join? I'm going to post this